Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hayırlı kеш, hanımlar ve mırzalar. Bonjour, madame, monsieur. Welcome to the fourth Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council meeting, post-pandemic Kazakhstan and Canada Cooperation, Recovery and Development. My name is Taskyn Koshman, the Regional Director of CERBA Kazakhstan and the Canada-Kazakhstan Business Council Coordinator. During this month, we held a series of KCBC events, 5 working groups meetings in different industries, and working group chairs report, plenary devoted to different industries, and discovered that there are many opportunities for further business relationship development between Canada and Kazakhstan. And before we start official part, I would like to remind you technical updates. First of all, today you can watch and listen the event. There'll be an opportunity to ask questions in a written manner. You can leave them on the Q&A button of your screen. We have also simultaneous translation English, Russian on the event. And if you go to the right corner of the bottom of your screen, you will find the button which says language, and you can choose the language you are comfortable to listen. This event also will be recorded, and you will have a chance to rewatch or share with your friends and partners, as well as the other KCBC events on CERBA YouTube channel very soon. We have also, if you noticed, at the link of the event, the brochure, which has all speakers' bios. So please open it and read it carefully while listening. There will be also a KCBC fourth meeting final report published after both sides' approval. And the last one thing to mention that today's plenary session will be moderated by Mr. Gilles Breton, the chairman of the Canada-Kazakhstan or Canada-Eurasia Business Association. Gilles Breton has been chairman since 2017. He retired from government work in 2020 after a 36-year career with Canada's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Gilles, welcome.
Thank you very much, Taskyn. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. That's the dangerous part now. Animdarmen Mirzalar. Dobre utra, dobry večer, dami gospoda. Good morning, excellencies and ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the main plenary session of the Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council. As the chairman of the National Board of CERBA, I have to say a few words about the organization, of course. CERBA acts as the secretariat of the KCBC along with the Kazakhstan Chamber of Industry and Commerce. CERBA is a membership-based entity. Its main objective is to advance economic cooperation between Canada and Eurasia. And of course, we are open to cooperation with all interested organizations who want to join KCBC, the work of KCBC. So I was the last speaker today. Yesterday, I'm the first speaker today. So somehow I'm the bridge between the two plenary sessions. My main duty today is to act as moderator, as to offer perhaps very brief contextual comments. The KCBC is chaired by Mr. Tim Gitzel, President and CEO of Cameco, and Mr. Galimjan Pirmatov, Chairman and CEO of Kazatomprom. Cameco and Kazatomprom are the main sponsors of this event today. This is the 4th session of the KCBC. For over 5 years, the Council has provided an effective platform for stakeholders and experts to exchange information and to have a meaningful business dialogue. Ambassador Skok will present later on the highlights of the meetings of the 5 working groups that convened earlier this month, but allow me to make a few comments. As a longtime participant in working groups of one form or another, I can gladly observe that the outcome of every working group was very impressive. Strong attendance at working group meetings demonstrated the strong interest, the vivid interest from the Kazakh and Canadian business communities in building closer economic relations. I should like also to thank the vice ministers and senior officials who participated in the one plenary and also in some cases in the working group. And their engagement was crucial to our success. We would not have achieved that without them. The online format of the discussion was initially a source of concern. It turned out that as an advantage in that it led to a more focused discussion and allowed for broader and more diverse participation. Of course, working online did away with the geographic distance between our two countries. It, however, forced our colleagues in Kazakhstan to work late in the evening and our colleagues in Western Canada to start meetings before sunrise. I would like to express our gratitude for their dedication and commitment in these circumstances. As the title of this session suggests, we have now, even before the end of the pandemic, entered a phase where we can start working on recovery and development. In the new prevailing circumstances, nurturing the Canada-Kazakhstan economic relationship will continue to be a worthwhile objective that we will pursue as creatively as the technology will allow until we can meet again in person. So right now, I think I'm going to pass the word. Thank you to His Excellency Ambassador Kamaldinov for taking the initiative to suggest having a KCBC this year. I would now like to ask the Ambassador to address our meeting. Ambassador Kamaldinov, please.
Good morning and good evening for everybody. Thank you, Mr. Breton, for your introduction. Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome the participants of the fourth meeting of Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council plenary session. Dear Mr. Carr, my personal thanks to you for supporting KCBC and joining the event today. First of all, let me express my sincere appreciation to all organizers and especially CERBA team and Mr. Breton, as well as co-chairs of the working groups and speakers who worked hard since August to prepare the series of events within the Business Council. Particular gratitude to my dear friends, Mr. Gilles and Mr. Scott. Despite the impact of COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that this year KCBC meeting was conducted in a new virtual format for all of us, it was absolutely successful, and we clearly see the outcomes of the 5 working groups and the plenary session. We've counted about 700 participants in all events during the 2 weeks. It's amazing. I'm not sure that we could bring so many people together offline. I would like to draw the attention of Canadian business that the government of Kazakhstan, together with our business, fully support initiatives aimed to develop business ties between our countries. Despite the late time in Kazakhstan, all KCBC events were supported by our ministers on a high level. Today, on a plenary session, we have 2 ministers from Kazakhstan who joined the event. Working groups were supported by several vice ministers and presidents of national companies and associations. It is a clear message from Kazakhstan that we are open for cooperation with Canada in every sphere of mutual interest. Our government and business work together. Government supports our business community on all levels. Unfortunately, despite much efforts done from different angles, we couldn't receive reciprocate support from the Canadian side on participation of the Canadian government ministers and the Business Council plenary session as working groups meetings. However, as I said, Canadian business can rely on the government of Kazakhstan as we see the potential of developing trade and economic cooperation between our countries. And as ambassador, I would like to say my main job and my main task and goals is to create maximum opportunity for business circles in order to facilitate it, enhancing our economic cooperation. Taking this opportunity, I would like to ask our Canadian partners a favor. In 2017, Kazakhstan introduced 30-day visa-free entry for Canadian citizens. This decision was made in order to promote business and tourism cooperation. Both Canadians, businesses, and travelers benefit a lot from the visa-free arrangement. At the same time, application procedures for Canadian visas to Kazakhstan citizens represents a complex issue. Canada is one of the very few countries that still do not issue visa in Kazakhstan. All its citizens have to submit their applications to Canada Visa Application Center in Nur-Sultan in Almaty, and wait for Canadian embassy in Moscow or Warsaw to process and issue visas and send passport back to Kazakhstan. The whole visa application process also takes up to more than 30 days. Canadian business community is also expressing its concern about difficulties facing Kazakhstan entrepreneurs wishing to travel to Canada. A number of official and the business delegation from Kazakhstan had to cancel their trips because Canadian embassy in Nur-Sultan does not process and issue visa. On current time, this is a very serious obstacle for enhancing bilateral cooperation. Besides, there is a concern about a growing number of refusal for granting Canadian visas to Kazakhstan citizens. Often the reasons for rejection are very ambiguous. This creates a situation where potential applicants are not confident in obtaining a visa. Moreover, applicants incur non-refundable expenses for visa application center services in refusal cases. It creates misperceptions that Kazakhstan partners do not interest to visit Canada. No one doubts that Kazakhstan is a stable and responsible country and does not pose any threat to Canada, in particular in immigration issue. We should join our efforts. I hope for your support in this matter. Obviously, this is mutual beneficial, believe me, and help me, please. Please give me a couple more minutes. I have also a few words for the participant from Kazakhstan. Құрметті әріптестер, құрметті министрлер, кеш жарық, өте қуаныштымын баршаларыңызды бүгін көруге. Уважаемые министры, коллеги, друзья, конечно же, в первую очередь я хочу выразить свою глубокую признательность вам и всем, кто на протяжении этих последних 5 месяцев, несмотря на занятость и вопреки всем препятствиям и трудностям, которые создал COVID-19, создала эта проблема с пандемией, вы на всех уровнях, начиная от рядового сотрудника и заканчивая членами правительства, нашими министрами, оказали огромное содействие нашей инициативе. Вы проделали действительно колоссальную работу, я нисколько не преувеличиваю. И даже премьер-министр Аскар Мамин был вовлечен в этот процесс. Я подготовлю подробный отчет ему и все в деталях доложу нашему премьер-министру о проделанной работе и о тех условиях, в которых мы сейчас находимся, и о наших планах. Планы грандиозные, я уверен. Я здесь хочу отметить и заострить внимание наших участников на том, что Канада очень успешно работает и успешно борется с ковидом. Правительство Канады принимает просто беспрецедентные меры и весьма успешные. Я абсолютно уверен, что Канада в числе первых выйдет из этой проблемы и победит коронавирус. Вот. И тогда перед нами станет вопрос, что делать дальше. В этот момент нужно оказаться, как говорит классик, в нужное время, в нужном месте. Мы должны быть готовы, чтобы реанимировать наше сотрудничество, и мы должны быть готовы к тому, чтобы сделать прорыв в торгово-экономических отношениях, в инвестиционном сотрудничестве, в трансфере технологий с Канадой. Канада огромная страна, и потенциал у нее огромный. И для нас представляет Канада большой интерес. Можете не сомневаться. Поверьте моему опыту многолетнему. И я готов работать с вами, готов на всех уровнях. Мои сотрудники также проделали огромную работу. Им тоже большое спасибо. Вот. Я бы хотел на небольшом примере показать, насколько возможно, так сказать, интенсифицировать нашу работу. Где-то на протяжении всего 1,5 лет, это вторая половина 18 и 19 век, 19 год, FDI, Foreign Direct Investment, увеличился в 5 раз. С $500, с 50 миллионов до 280 миллионов долларов. Это цифры. Товарооборот за 2019 год увеличился почти вдвое, с 200 с чем-то там миллионов до 500 миллионов долларов. И это всего лишь произошло за каких-то 1,5 года. Я хочу сказать, что потенциал большой. Не надо бояться, надо работать. Вот. Сегодня и в остальных мероприятиях, которые проходили в течение этих 2 недель, была заложена хорошая основа, хорошая база для прорыва после пандемии. И это ваша заслуга. Я хочу вам пожелать больших удач. Пожалуйста, берегите себя, берегите своих близких, родных. Вы лучшие, вы нужны стране. Спасибо большое за внимание. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Kamaldinov, for your sort of very sensible remarks, if I may say. Forgive me for that comment. Now we have a small change in the program today. We will have Ambassador Nicolas Brousseau say a few words before we move to the speeches by the ministers. So, His Excellency Nicolas.
Ministers, Excellency, dear friends, Ministre, Excellence, chers amis, I won't take much of your time. I'm the last addition to the program, as I had the opportunity to open the KCBC yesterday. We had split duties with my good friend Akylbek Kamaldinov. But I just wanted to say a few words to say how delighted I've been of the work of the KCBC this year. I can only echo all the comments made by Ambassador Kamaldinov. We are working hands in hands, the 2 embassies, to foster trades between our 2 countries. It is absolutely wonderful also to see the high-level support this year for KCBC with the participation of Minister Mirzagaliyev, Minister Omarov, the Prime Minister, Special Representative for the Prairies, Mr. Carr, and the Parliamentary Secretary for Trade, Rachel Bendayan. So this is absolutely tremendous. I also wanted to express all my appreciation to the 2 co-chairs, Mr. Gilles and Mr. Pirmatov, with whom we're in constant contact. And as my good friend Ambassador Kamaldinov said, we are going to work to make even more progress that have been made in the last few years. The numbers are quite impressive, a little bit slowed by the COVID, but I think we will benefit from the recovery in terms of bilateral trade. Finally, I would like to express again my gratitude to CERBA and to all those at CERBA who have been working on this KCBC days and night with a challenging situation this year, virtual, but I must say quite impressive result, particularly of the working group. So I will stop there. I know, Gilles, you had given me 30 minutes, but I'll take only a few seconds. And I'm looking forward to hearing you all today. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, Nicolas, thank you very much, for taking the time to speak to us this morning. It's always a pleasure. We're on time, actually. You could have spoken for another 25 minutes, of course. Our next speaker on the program today is His Excellency, the Minister of Ecology, Geology and Mineral Resources of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Mr. Magzum Mirzagaliyev.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors. Thank you to all. Very nice to meet you all and very nice to attend such a wonderful and a very important event. First of all, on behalf of the Ministry of Ecology, Geology and Natural Resources of the Republic of Kazakhstan, let me welcome you. And I would like to note that the strengthening of Kazakh-Canadian cooperation is a very high priority for us. This Business Council is a unique dialogue platform for developing a closer partnership between representatives of leading Canadian companies interested in investment and technology transfer into the exploration and geological exploration in Kazakhstan. I would like to say that during the meeting of the Working Group on Energy and Natural Resources, which took place 16th of November this year, the representatives of our ministry presented the country's investment opportunities in the field of geology, as well as specific projects for joint implementation. As I was informed following the event, the parties agreed to further deepen the bilateral relations in trade, economic and investment cooperation, and also expressed interest in implementing joint projects in Kazakhstan. So to enhance this cooperation, I would like to suggest to develop the roadmap for developing cooperation for 2021-2022 with some clear tasks and goals in order to further step the partnership, and then to present it to the heads of working group on energy and natural resources. We could hear the results of the roadmap implementation at the next meeting of the Business Council. However, although it was many of this probably was said during the meeting 9 days ago, I would still like to add a few words about our geological potential. I would like to know that Kazakhstan occupies a leading position in the world in terms of mineral resources, such as wolfram, chromium, uranium, manganese, zinc and lead, and of course oil and gas. According to the confirmed reserves of most types of minerals, the Republic of Kazakhstan is among the top 10 leading countries in the world. And at the same time, Kazakhstan's share in world reserves of wolfram is 63%, chromium 48%, uranium 12%, silver 6%, and copper more than 4% of worldwide reserves. Currently, a large number of deposits of minerals are being developed, and however, still the subsoil of Kazakhstan has a fairly large potential for new discoveries. New gold deposits can be discovered in the central, northern, eastern, and southern regions, lead and zinc deposits in central and southern Kazakhstan, as well as in the border areas with Russia and China. One of the largest copper deposits, called the Bishoke in the eastern part of Kazakhstan, is probably would be one of the large copper reserves due to, according with the international consulting company Waddell Armstrong International, which forecasts its reserves for more than 1 million tons. I'd also like to add that we have large gold deposits with 40 tons of resources, and another field with mine with 100,000 tons of rare earth metals. At the same time, the potential of deposits can be expanded as a result of geological exploration. I would also like to say a few words about our potential for hydrocarbons. We believe that there is a very high potential of further new discoveries. The right for subsurface use in the oil and gas sector for developed basins is granted through competition. However, we have a number of oil and gas basins which are less studied, and we believe that we could grant the rights to the subsoil use on the low studied basins in a partnership with national company based on exclusive right, which gives a great opportunity for Canadian companies. Therefore, I would like to invite Canadian companies to partner, and we are ready to provide all the required support from the governmental side. In addition, I would like to suggest that, taking into account that we have a very high potential of strengthening our cooperation, I believe that we should create a dialogue platform at the governmental level. In this regard, I would like to ask Canadian side to consider creating of Intergovernmental Commission on Trade and Economic Cooperation between two of our countries. I think if we do that, that would be a great step for our further deepening cooperation. Thank you very much, and again, very nice to see you all, and a special thanks to our ambassadors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Mirzagaliyev, for your informative observations and remarks, and also thank you for the support of the work of KCBC. We appreciate very much your interest and commitment to our work. The next person I have on my list of speakers is the Minister of Agriculture of the Republic of Kazakhstan, His Excellency Saparkhan Omarov.
Добрый день всем. Уважаемые господа, уважаемые участники сегодняшнего заседания, позвольте поприветствовать вас от имени Министерства сельского хозяйства Республики Казахстан и от себя лично. Хотел бы выразить признательность чрезвычайному и полномочному послу Республики Казахстан в Канаде господину Акylбеку Камалдинову и канадской стороне за организацию такого важного заседания. Пандемия коронавируса в нашу страну пришла в самый разгар весенне-полевых работ. И основной задачей в период первой вспышки пандемии являлось проведение весенне-полевых работ в оптимальные сроки. В текущем году с учетом возросшего спроса на казахстанскую сельскохозяйственную продукцию общая посевная площадь была доведена до 22,7 миллионов гектар, а также обеспечен рост площадей под высокорентабельные кормовые культуры. В целях обеспечения доступности и расширения охвата финансируемых сельхозтоваропроизводителей правительством Республики Казахстан было принято решение об увеличении объемов государственной поддержки, а также реструктурированные льготные кредиты. Это позволило не только сохранить набранные темпы роста в условиях пандемии коронавируса, но и создать условия для поступательного развития отрасли. Также министерством и акиматами областей были решены вопросы по свободному передвижению лиц и сельхозтехники, задействованных в проведении весенне-полевых работ. Вовремя принятые меры позволили снизить влияние пандемии на развитие сельского хозяйства в стране. Так, по итогам 10 месяцев текущего года объем валовой продукции сельского хозяйства увеличился на 5,2%. Отрасль становится привлекательной для вложения инвестиций. Так, приток инвестиций в основной капитал сельского хозяйства за 10 месяцев текущего года увеличился на 7,5%. Производство продуктов питания на 21%. На сегодняшний день министерством ведутся работы по разработке концепта новой государственной программы, которая ляжет в основу нового программного документа по развитию сельскохозяйственной отрасли. В рамках концепции будут проработаны вопросы доступного финансирования, земельных отношений, развития аграрной науки, цифровизации отрасли, ветеринарной и фитосанитарной безопасности, а также вопросы развития экспортного потенциала не только сырья, но и переработки. Для повышения производительности труда будет сделан реальный акцент на технические и технологические перевооружения в отрасли. В растениеводстве планируется повысить качество используемых семян, увеличить объем внесенных удобрений, довести уровень обновления техники до 6%. В животноводстве будет продолжена дальнейшая работа по стимулированию селекционной и племенной работы, породного преобразования, а также увеличению доли племенного поголовья за счет применения современных технологий производства. Также будет сделан акцент на развитие переработки сельхозпродукции, которая позволит реализовать меры по импортозамещению, повышению передела и переработки сырья и доходности не только для предприятий пищевой промышленности, но и простых фермеров и сельхозпредприятий, занятости наших сельских жителей. Объем товарооборота по продукции АПК за январь-сентябрь 2020 года сельхозпродукции и продуктов переработки сельскохозяйственного сырья между Казахстаном и Канадой составил 2,8 миллионов долларов США, что на 28,7% больше, чем за аналогичный период 2019 года. Однако потенциал для роста есть, поэтому необходимо продолжать развивать торгово-экономические связи между нашими странами, увеличивать и расширять объем товарооборота сельхозпродукции. Сотрудничество в области сельского хозяйства между странами осуществляется в рамках меморандума о взаимопонимании между Министерством сельского хозяйства Республики Казахстан и Министерством сельского хозяйства и продовольствия Канады по сотрудничеству в области сельского хозяйства который был подписан 5 апреля 2012 года. В рамках данного меморандума действует совместная казахстанская-канадская рабочая группа. Казахстанская сторона выражает заинтересованность в дальнейшем сотрудничестве и предлагает возобновить работу в рамках второго заседания совместной казахстанско-канадской рабочей группы. Что касается привлечения инвестиций, Казахстан является одной из самых привлекательных стран для инвестиций в агропромышленный комплекс. Политическая и экономическая стабильность республики – одна из основ повышенного интереса к инвестициям в сельскохозяйственный сектор нашей страны. Казахстан предоставляет широкие возможности для инвестирования в аграрный сектор. Министерство сельского хозяйства готово оказать содействие инвесторам, начиная от идеи до ввода в эксплуатацию новых предприятий. Отмечая, что Канада входит в число крупнейших иностранных инвесторов в Республику Казахстан, приглашаем к сотрудничеству канадских предпринимателей реализовать совместные проекты в сельском хозяйстве и перерабатывающей отрасли. С уверенностью могу сказать, что мы открыты к диалогу и сотрудничеству. Уверен, что достигнутые договоренности на сегодняшней встрече будут способствовать дальнейшему развитию сотрудничества в области сельского хозяйства между нашими странами. И в завершение своего выступления еще раз хочу поблагодарить всех за конструктивную работу, всех участников рабочих групп, которые вот на протяжении последних недель работали, и пожелать нам всем плодотворного сотрудничества. Спасибо.
Thank you very much, Minister Omarov, for your very thorough, useful remarks and very much to the point of our discussion. Thank you very much. Now, I think we can move to the next speaker on our list. That is Mrs. Rachel Bendayan, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Small Business, Export Promotion and International Trade.
Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde. Good morning for those of you watching here in Canada and for those of you watching in Kazakhstan, including Minister Mirzagaliyev and Minister Omarov. Good evening, Kari Yakesh. Minister Ng wanted to let you know that she is very sorry that she couldn't join you today. This pandemic has obviously forced us to change our schedules, but it has not diminished our enthusiasm for all the work that you have done and our excitement for the potential that lies ahead for Canada and Kazakhstan, even in these very challenging times. This has certainly been an extraordinarily difficult time for people around the world. Together, we are very much fighting this global pandemic, working to ensure the health and safety of our peoples and mitigating the economic impact of COVID-19. International collaboration has been critical, but as COVID-19 swept the world, many countries unfortunately responded by closing their doors to trade. COVID-19 should not and cannot be used as an excuse to stop trading, to turn inwards, or to pull back from multilateral cooperation. Canada is a trading nation. Pre-COVID-19, trade accounted for nearly 2/3 of Canadian economy, supporting nearly 3.3 million jobs. Canada very much sees trade as key to ensuring our people and our businesses can rebuild and recover quickly from COVID-19. That's why Canada has been working with like-minded nations to eliminate unnecessary barriers to trade and keep our supply chains open. This work will help Canada and Kazakhstan strengthen trade in already well-established sectors such as natural resources and agriculture and more. And it will also help to ensure us grow in emerging sectors such as clean tech, information and communications technology, and life sciences. As we look to the road ahead, with Canadian foreign direct investment in Kazakhstan at $3.24 billion, and bilateral merchandise trade at $614 million, rest assured that the dynamic market of Kazakhstan remains a priority for Canada. For Canada, the path forward is clear. We must protect the health and safety of our people and our businesses while also supporting them economically, including through scaling up and accessing vibrant international markets such as Kazakhstan, our largest trade partner in Central Asia. Through these unprecedented times, we've been strengthening our close friendship and economic relationship with Kazakhstan to keep trade open and inclusive. In fact, over the past several months, Canada's Minister Champagne has been in touch with Foreign Minister Gilles, and Prime Minister Trudeau has met President Tokayev at this year's Munich Security Conference. Those discussions and today's event will help us get through this together, advance our common goals, and strengthen our economic partnership. Thank you. Merci. Kopramet.
Thank you to our colleagues in the Ministry of International Trade at Global Affairs Canada for arranging this. I think they were very interested in participating in our discussion or offering a contribution to our discussion. We appreciate that very much. Now, of course, I think have already former Minister Carr online.
Good morning.
I would like to, good morning, a few words. I just thought I should say a few words again about the fact that we have shared with you our interest in trade diversification. So we're delighted to have you here this morning, Monsieur le Ministre, Monsieur l'ex-Ministre, and we're, I can pass the floor over to you right away if you're ready.
I am ready. And good morning to ministers and distinguished guests and to everyone in Canada, and good evening to those of you in Kazakhstan. It's an honor to welcome you all today on behalf of the Government of Canada. I'm sitting here in my chair in the House of Commons, but it's in my house. And through the magic of this device, I vote when it's time to express a view formally on the House of Commons floor, and also to participate in debates and to make speeches right from my home. This is a very unusual time. And what the pandemic means is that it's all the more important to deepen relationships and friendships around the world, because we will come out of this and we will come out of it together, and those relationships will be stronger. As both a former Minister of International Trade Diversification and Minister of Natural Resources, I had the opportunity to work with many of you to build Canada's friendship with Kazakhstan. Of course, I'd like to thank the Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council for hosting today's event and for granting me the honor to welcome you. I would also like to thank the Canada-Eurasia-Russia Business Association for the hard work and many hours they put into organizing this important event. It's clear that Canada and Kazakhstan have developed a close partnership stemming from our common positions on international issues and our growing commercial relationship, to say nothing of our similar climate patterns. The wind is getting chillier here in Winnipeg, and I'm sure that's probably true for others on the call as well. The past 2 years have seen a significant increase in engagement between our two countries. In 2018, Kazakhstan hosted a Governor General Payet, the first ever visit of a Canadian Governor General to Kazakhstan. And earlier this year, as we have heard, Prime Minister Trudeau and President Tokayev met for the first time in the margins of the Munich Security Conference. This was followed by the first phone call between our foreign ministers, Champagne and Akylbek, in June of 2020. And I'm delighted that this strong momentum continues today with the participation of Minister Mirzagaliyev and Minister Omarov. While Canada and Kazakhstan cooperate across a broad range of issues, there is no denying the important role that trade and investment have played in helping to build our relationship. Prior to COVID-19, in 2019, our annual trade flow had reached more than $614 million, and Canadian companies have invested more than $3 billion in Kazakhstan. While there is no debate that COVID-19 has and will continue to negatively impact international trade and investment, Canada remains confident that the international community will rise to the challenge. Canada will continue to promote the vital links between sustainable and inclusive economic growth and prosperity and peace and security. This is even more important as our economies recover from COVID-19. We are very proud of the work that Canadian companies are doing in Kazakhstan and of the very close partnerships they have formed with Kazakh companies. This is exemplified by Cameco's donation of intensive care equipment and personal protective equipment to the Multidisciplinary Medical Center in Nur-Sultan. The Government of Canada has also answered the call by providing $250,000 via the International Committee of the Red Cross and the National Red Cross Society to assist COVID-19 efforts in Kazakhstan. Governments around the world will be evaluated based on how we rebuild our economies following this pandemic. This is why Canada is investing significant resources, not only in protecting current jobs, but also in developing future skills and industries in Canada. This must incorporate inclusive trade strategies that put people at the center of everything we do. Trade and investment can and has lifted millions out of poverty and has made a difference in improving the lives of millions more people around the world. Trade, first and foremost, is about improving people's lives. I am pleased to see Kazakhstan putting in place reforms that will further drive its economy forward, including a strong emphasis on longer-term sustainable diversification, renewable energy, and investment in human capital. Canada looks forward to working with our partners from Kazakhstan to help ensure a brighter and more prosperous future for everyone as we rebuild the international economy. Growing the relationships between our two countries will be made possible not just by government officials working together, but primarily by the everyday decisions and efforts of Canadian and Kazakh companies that share our desire to strengthen our great relationships in the years to come. I wish you all the best today in your deliberations to further these mutual goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carr, for your remarks. Very much appreciate your presence. And of course, we appreciate also that we also have geographic diversity in our meeting today from the Canadian side. This is very important for us. We are, our speakers are so disciplined that we have a bit of time. So I just wanted to mention that we will have time for questions a little bit later. But I see that our next speaker is already on screen, the CEO of Kazakh Invest, Mr. Baurzhan Sartbayev. So if you have no objection, I will ask Mr. Sartbayev to take the floor right away.
Dear Excellencies, dear participants, thank you for this honor to provide the keynote presentation during the Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council. My today's speech will include introduction to the investment opportunities of Kazakhstan, as well as assistance provided by Kazakh Invest. Kazakhstan and Canada have a lot in common, including the geography and the climate, a multicultural society, and very importantly, the structure of the economy. Bilateral relations between Kazakhstan and Canada are traditionally warm and productive. We successfully cooperate along various directions. Today, Kazakhstan is Canada's largest trade and investment partner in Central Asia. In fact, over the past 15 years, FDI from Canada to Kazakhstan has exceeded 5 billion. In Canada's Global Markets Action Plan, Kazakhstan is designated as priority emerging market with a wide range of opportunities for the Canadian companies. The Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council is a vital instrument for the development of bilateral economic relations between our countries. We consider such sectors as energy and mining, together with agriculture and mechanical engineering, as the core pillars of our cooperation, and they have vast potential for further development. So, why Kazakhstan is the attractive destination for the Canadian business? Kazakhstan is extremely gifted with natural resources. Huge reserves, oil, gas, coal, uranium, and various metal ores make the country an important supplier for the world's industrial development. Currently, Kazakhstan sets the goal of reducing state participation in the economy and its further diversification through privatization, investment attraction, and the development of local production. Market opportunities is one of the key factors for business decision maker. Let me highlight Kazakhstan's capability to provide direct access to the market of more than 500 million consumers, including the countries of Central Asia, Western China, and the Caspian Basin. One of the key advantages of Kazakhstan is favorable geographical position between Europe and Asia. Strategically, it links the large and the growing markets of China and Southeast Asia and those of Middle East and Europe by automobile and railroads, as well as the ports on the Caspian Sea. Transcontinental transportation allows transferring goods from China to Europe 3-4 times faster than by sea routes, significantly decreasing in opportunity cost. Thanks to the effort of the government of the Republic of Kazakhstan, a 3-level system of investor support has been introduced, including Kazakhstan state overseas institutions, ministries, and local executive bodies. At every level, Kazakh Invest plays an active role, managing the network of its representative abroad and in all regions of Kazakhstan. In addition, we have established a systematic work with business associations and local entrepreneurs. Thanks to the comprehensive measures undertaken by the government, Kazakhstan is currently ranked 25th in the World Bank's Doing Business. In the Republic of Kazakhstan, investors' right and given the utmost priority and the protection at the highest level. Multiple platforms have been developed to communicate, address, and effectively solve arising issues. Firstly, we need to mention the Foreign Investor Council chaired by the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan. The Coordination Council and the Council of Improvement Investment Climate are established under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister. Additionally, the launch of the Court and the Astana Financial Center and the International Arbitration Center is an important initiative to ensure the rule of law and investors' right protection. Moreover, the Prime Minister of Kazakhstan performs the function for the investment ombudsman. The combination of all main factors is expressed in continuous improvement of the investment climate and the volume of foreign direct investment. Since 1991, Kazakhstan has attracted over 350 billion of FDI. The outstanding investment opportunities of Kazakhstan were renowned by world's largest multinational companies that have chosen Kazakhstan as a destination for expanding their operation and opening production locally. The list of the largest investors in the economy of Kazakhstan includes not only enterprises in the mining and the oil gas sectors, but also light processing and the food production companies in the chemical and the mechanical engineering industries, as well as infrastructure and transport companies from dozens of countries. Our organization, Kazakh Invest, is a unified investment operator of the Republic of Kazakhstan. The Prime Minister of Kazakhstan is chairing the board of directors of Kazakh Invest. We provide a full range of services to support investment activities and particular projects. Kazakh Invest acts as investment guide in Kazakhstan. For potential investors, we provide comprehensive country information, sectoral review, and specific investment project proposals developed by our team in cooperation with international consultants. Then we organize targeted visits to Kazakhstan, during which investors can meet with central government bodies and local authorities. A regional network of representatives allows Kazakh Invest to provide support for investors in every region. Very useful service we provide in business matchmaking. We assist in searching for a reliable local partner. We also assist in structuring of investment projects, providing various options for financing. We guide investors all the way through the project implementation stage. And even after successful launch, we provide continuous service support on the questions investors may have in doing business in Kazakhstan. Kazakh Invest constantly analyzes the investment opportunities of Kazakhstan and identifies potential niches and the projects attractive to investors. Today, we are ready to offer specific projects in various sectors, together with our full support for the potential investors. We have prepared more than 100 investment proposals in such sectors as agribusiness, mining, metallurgy, petrochemical sectors, mechanical engineering, and tourism. Agriculture and the food sector is one of the strategic sectors of Kazakhstan's economy that has tremendous potential for further growth. The World Bank characterized Kazakhstan as breadbasket for Eurasia. The key factors of investment attractives for this sector. Total area for agricultural land in Kazakhstan is more than 200 million hectares. In addition, there is a high potential for introducing new irrigated lands for the development of the raw material base for the Greenfield project. Kazakhstan has access to major global markets such as China, Southeast Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. This provide both transport logistic routes and trade agreements. The total amount of export for these regions exceeded 3.3 billion. The main export products are cereals, oilseeds, meat, dairy products, and prepared food. Kazakhstan has identified priorities: meat, dairy products, cereals, oilseed potatoes. According to the State Agribusiness Development Program, various measures of government support for investors are provided, including reimbursement of 25% of capital expenditures. Kazakhstan has a skilled workforce, with 20% of which is employed in agriculture. In mining industry, Kazakh Invest is ready to offer over 400 projects. For Kazakhstan, mining and the metallurgical industry is the country's second economy after the oil and the gas industry, which contributes to 23% of industry and 21% of national export. Kazakhstan ranks 6th in the world in terms of natural resource reserves, 10th in terms of total mineral extractions without oil and gas, and the 3rd in terms of mineral extraction per capita. The gross value of proven reserves of major minerals in Kazakhstan is more than 3 trillion, and their recoverable value is more than 2 trillion. Today, the mining and the metallurgical sectors is focused on growth of priority projects, including all the surrounding conditions. Therefore, we offer comfortable conditions for production with the provision of combined package of state support measures for exploration, extraction, and the production of goods. In accordance with the global best practice in investment attraction, we have 13 special economic zones located all over Kazakhstan that provide established infrastructure and a wide range of investment preferences. We also have 24 industrial zones with turnkey infrastructure. The government of Kazakhstan provides comprehensive support for investment projects that includes fiscal incentives such as various subsidies, exemptions from corporate income tax, VAT, land tax, and the property tax, and the non-fiscal incentives such as plot of land and infrastructure. I hope this presentation today has given you understanding of investor support system of Kazakhstan. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sartbayev. Indeed, of course, if I may trade with you a little secret, you were when we did the organizing committee for this event today, the first speaker on which we had agreed that we would convene was you. So, I mean, thank you very much for agreeing to participate in our discussion. You thought it was very important, and I think you fulfill all our expectations, if I may say, from a very personal point of view. So thank you very much. This is also a reminder to our colleagues that since this will be, this event is recorded and will be on CERBA's YouTube channel. So I think people also who would like to share this presentation and all the other presentations with their colleagues will be in a position to do that. So our next speaker is Marie-France Paquet, Chief Economist at Global Affairs Canada. This gives me the occasion to remind people of what Taskyn said at the very outset, that there is, along with the program on our CERBA website, along with the program, there is a very nice brochure that gives a lot of information about our speakers today, including information about the next speaker. So Marie-France, Madame Paquet, over to you.
Merci beaucoup, Gilles. Dear Excellencies and dear participants, thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you today. Bonne journée à tous au Canada et bonne soirée au Kazakhstan. It would be nicer to meet in person, but we maximize under constraints. So let me start by sharing my screen with you. Voilà. Gilles, est-ce que vous pouvez voir mon écran? Merci beaucoup. Alors, so if you will indulge me, I will just like to take a minute to look back at 2019. There seems to be in everybody's mind a pre and post-pandemic kind of mindset, and it's certainly the case for Canada. So where were we when we ended up at the end of 2019 on the trade and investment front? Actually, 2019 was pretty much a good year for Canada on the trade and investment front. If you look at the increase in trade, two-way trade, so imports and exports, it grew by 1.8% in 2019 compared to decreases for the world trade. Same thing on the investment flows. We managed to attract 19% increase in FDI flows into the country, an increase of 57% of Canadian direct investment abroad, whereas the overall size of the flows, if you will, worldwide was decreasing by 1%. So things were looking pretty good in Canada, but things were slowing down. If you look at the increase of 1.8% for trade, comparing to the decade average of the 2010s, it was at 4.5%. So things were slowing down in Canada because they were slowing down worldwide as well. So we had seen constantly IMF, the World Bank, WTO, the OECD revising their forecast downwards. And so we knew a recession was going to come. We just had no clue to what extent and in which form. As I said, so 2019 was a good year on the FDI, for FDI traction and for Canadian direct investment abroad. And we'll speak a bit more precisely later about Canadian direct investment in Kazakhstan. So we did good on the investment side, but then pandemic came around, earlier in China, then Europe, then North America. And of course, the global economic decline was pretty abrupt. Okay, so what we've seen is a much bigger decline in GDP worldwide during the first part of the 2020 compared to even the 3 years of the global financial crisis. Okay, so the size of the shock or the amplitude of the shock is even bigger and on a shorter time frame. Okay, and the forecast right now for 2021, of course, is that it could be bouncing back, but there's a big question mark around that. As you know, making forecasts these days is more a question of art than a science. It always is. So I think today we could say it's modern art instead of science, making forecasts. But what have we seen? So over the summer months that we consider, like for the Northern Hemisphere, so over, April, May, June, July. So we've seen that world merchandise trade is picking up. So we've seen the big decrease in trade volume in the spring and picking back up over the summer months. So that was good news. And we've seen the same thing on the industrial production worldwide. Okay, so that was encouraging. However, we are now facing, same thing, many countries in Europe and in North America, definitely a very strong second wave of the virus. So we're not going into lockdowns for the economy in Canada for sure, not at this stage, but it is affecting, what will happen for the end of 2020 and for 2021. Okay. So goods in Canada have picked up over the summer months a bit about the same shape as here, some kind of V shape. So, trade in goods has been pretty bouncing back pretty well, but not trade in services. And of course, this is not a surprise. As for Canada, you have air transportation services that's really plummeting. It's the case for Canada, it's the case for other countries as well. International education is another component for, that is affecting Canada quite drastically as well, as foreign students were not able to travel to the country and to come and study here. So a lot of them are starting online, but it's not exactly the same. So we've seen, different services that are not really picking up over the summer months, and that will continue to be a drag on the goods and services trade overall for 2020 and 2021. So, world GDP has been affected a lot more during the COVID, a few months of COVID so far for 2020 compared to the financial crisis. So GDP, drop was much bigger, but on the trade side, it's the opposite. Okay, so the drop in worldwide trade was much stronger during the financial crisis than it has been in the few months for 2020, and as we expect it to be for 2021. So that's a good sign because, of course, for the Kenyan economy, we really, really depend on trade. The trade intensity of our country is 65% of our GDP. So when the world economy is doing good, it means we can trade a lot. It means that our Canadian economy is doing much better. So as we went into, shutting down some economic activities in the spring, the Canadian government, as well as other governments, of course, have responded very quickly, and I would say aggressively in the sense with lots of strong programming to support businesses and workers within those businesses. So we had programs to support wage subsidies. We had programs for rent subsidies for companies. We had programs to help out Canadian companies to export even more than usual programming there. And what we've seen here, of course, is for the debt to GDP ratio to increase quite a bit. Okay, so Canada was in a fiscal position that was very favorable before going into the pandemic. So we had a debt to GDP ratio of 26% in 2019. It was the best situation fiscally amongst the G7 countries. But as you can see, for 2020, we see a huge increase, of course, in debt to GDP ratio from 26 to 46. And I have to say that these are based on October estimates. So the year is not over yet, and some of the programming has been announced to be extended in Canada to support even longer period of time our businesses. Okay, so we will see therefore a big increase on debt to GDP ratio, and this is all levels of government for all the countries here as calculated and tabulated by the International Monetary Fund. However, this is not worrisome for Canada in the sense that because our debt was such in a good position as we went into the pandemic, we had room to maneuver, right? And that is what allowed the government to be quite aggressive with the programming to support the businesses. And of course, the cost of inaction would have been far greater than the cost of action because we would have had a lot of small and medium-sized companies not being able to face, a few months of lockdowns if the government had not been there somehow to support them, okay? And so what can we say now in terms of trade investment relationship between Canada and Kazakhstan? So trade between the two countries is actually dominated by Canadian imports, so exports from Kazakhstan to Canada. So of course, from our perspectives at Global Affairs, we tend to, very often focus on Canadian exports, and we forget that imports are also very important. They're important on two sides. For consumer goods, we love to get quite, good variety of goods, sometimes cheaper goods, but we also need those imports because they are intermediate inputs for production and our own supply chain or global value chains within Canada. Okay, so imports are as important as exports. But here, so you see some fluctuations, of course, in terms of exports and imports. And as the world economy was kind of slowing down a bit in 2018, 2019, you see a bit of that. But export have been actually picking up between those last 2 years of the data we have here. So 2020, will be difficult, of course, but hopefully things can bounce back. But I'll show you some of our forecasts on that front later. So what do we see? In terms of, we have a few categories that can swing numbers very, very much one way or the other. And so at the top, what you have is exports, for example, coming from Canada to Kazakhstan. So on the aircraft side, just a quick example, I think it's Bombardier who delivered two Q400, the series to Kazakh Air. And of course, it makes a huge increase in exports suddenly. And if the year after we have no such delivery, then it will look like, of course, the aircraft sector is plummeting. But it's just because it's such a big, important, numbers fluctuate quite heavily up and down for our aircraft delivery. And it's the same for Canadian exports to the EU, for example. It happens every time. So there's huge swings. But you have other goods for which, of course, we've seen huge increase, parts of machinery for sorting, grinding, an increase of more than 200% between 2015 and 2019. Harvesting machinery, some small decline. So and mechanical appliance, huge increase as well. Okay, so of course, if we go from a small base in terms of export, that's why you can have some very big swings up and down in some categories like aircraft, for example. One contract makes a huge difference in terms of number. On the import side, so what we import from Kazakhstan, of course, so we've got uranium, which is a big and important component of what we import, and with a huge increase of almost 67% over those 5 years, okay? Ferroalloys as well, so 70% increase. So those are solid numbers in terms of increase in imports coming from Kazakhstan. In terms of investment, colleague just before me mentioned that as well. So if we look at how it has evolved over the years from, let's say, 2010 to 2019, this is the stock of Kenyan direct investment to Kazakhstan. There's a dotted line at the beginning because we didn't have data for 2011. Statistics Canada, our statistical agency, deemed that to be unreliable. I guess at that point in time, there was some issue. But you can see some big fluctuation with good and solid increases between 2015 and 2019. The compound annual growth rate there would be close to 26%. Okay, that is absolutely fantastic. And Kazakhstan is the 8th destination for Canada in terms of investment in the Asia-Oceania region. So another good news there. Okay, and what do we expect? Now I'll finish with that. So just to say that in Canada a few years ago, we had set up a target for diversification for overseas market exports. Okay, so which meant basically outside of the United States. Okay, we export a lot of goods and services to the U.S. and we wanted to diversify our exports to other markets. And of course, the goal right now was set up before the pandemic crisis. So the goal itself of $291 billion is going to be hard to attain given what's going on in 2020 and what will happen in 2021. But the idea of diversification is definitely here to stay. And I think our exports and imports to Kazakhstan can help on both fronts. Okay, so what we've done is we've done some modeling looking at the big shocks on GDP and on sectors across the world. Okay, we've done it in May and we've done it in October. So in May, we thought, 2020 will be catastrophic, a drop in Canadian exports of 20%. But we were hoping, fingers crossed, that we would have one big wave and then things could bounce back almost to pre-pandemic level. Then in October, we got the summer months, as I said. So numbers, goods, trade was picking up in Canada. The economy was doing better over the summer months. And what we've seen is that the drop for 2020 is not going to be as bad. So we expect a drop of 14%. However, the second wave being right here, right now, will mean that we won't see a bouncing back in 2021. Okay. And if you look here, you see some sectors in terms of Canadian exports, and some sectors of interest would be, for example, machinery and equipment or transportation equipment. So we thought initially transportation equipment, we saw a drop of 30%. In October, we said, no, it's going to be 18% drop, but it's not really bouncing back yet in 2021. Okay, so what it means is that trade and global economic indicators are, they're rebounding, yes, but they're still well below pre-pandemic level. Okay, and it's going to be uneven. It's going to be uneven for countries. It's going to be uneven for sectors. It will vary quite a bit. Okay, but let me end on two positive notes, I hope. The first one is that the World Trade Organization, in their October forecast for trade, they had an analysis where they said they believe that if we get an effective vaccine out in 2021, that it could mean an increase in world GDP of 1 to 2 percentage points and add up 3 percentage points to trade expansion in 2021. So this is significant, and it is certainly positive as we keep hearing good news around the vaccine. So hopefully that will materialize. We need it, right? Everybody needs it. And the second point is, of course, commercial linkages between Canada and Kazakhstan are dominated by, Canadian direct investment, and our imports from Kazakhstan of uranium. They're very solid. They're growing fast, as I said. But that means, of course, there's room for growth. And it can help Canada contribute to its diversification objective. If you find other, sectors where we can grow our trading relationship, then that is good news for both countries, of course. But for Canada, it means helping out on the diversification target. I will stop here. Thank you very much.
Okay, hold on a second. Thank you very much, Madame Marie-France. It was a very interesting presentation. As for the investment presentation, we were right in thinking, in the organizing committee, we had to try to be creative, but I think we were very lucky in the sense that we got the best speakers we could find for the circumstances here. And I think it's very important also for us in the context of our discussion in the working groups that we've had. What you are saying also confirms to a large extent the context in which we are operating, in the sense that, we have a lot of trade already with Kazakhstan, but we can see the areas of growth have been sort of identified very clearly. So, very, very useful and very, how to say, productive from our point of view. I would like to remind the attendants that, of course, they can. We have foreseen a moment, a time for questions and answers a little bit later. So I can see that participants can file in their questions into that box at the bottom of their screen. We may not be in a position to answer all the questions live this morning or this evening, but of course, you know, if questions will be passed on to speakers as appropriate. So don't worry, please put in your questions now. We will have Margaret, Ambassador Scott's presentation in a few minutes, but in the meantime, I think we would like to encourage people to put in their questions so that when the time comes for questions, we have a good sort of lot of questions. And of course, if some colleagues would like to ask their questions live, please put that in as well in the Q&A box so that we can sort of organize that well. The next speaker on our list is, thank you again for the last two speakers. The next speaker on our list is Ambassador Margaret Scott. Margaret, are you ready?
Thank you. I am no longer ambassador. You can just call me Pensioner Scott. It fits very well. Excellencies, honorable ministers, distinguished guests and colleagues, Excellences, honorables ministres, invités distingués, mes collègues. As we have heard and as we know, this is a time of many challenges, negative and positive. In Canada, and we can't hide this, the COVID-19 transmission cases are on the rise. The epidemiological data is posted daily and publicly. The impact of this new pandemic, which no one anticipated in 2019, as our speakers have said, is taking a toll on the economy, the employment, society, families, our seniors, our youth. And as Madame Paquette noted, it is difficult to forecast what will happen in 2021. And what is happening now is quite different than what happened during the financial crisis in 2008. But even as COVID continues to claim lives, our industries are retooling, our businesses are restructuring, more people are working from home, hiding their children and pets during Zoom calls to ensure that we have safe work environments while office buildings stand empty. There is an emergent need for rethinking workspaces, new designs, architecture. Educators and students have been adjusting to ever-changing new teaching approaches, and the internet highway has never been so busy. But these are opportunities. We have heard the Honorable Jim Carr's message regarding trade, and this is important. It can lift people out of poverty. Health workers in healthcare sector work madly to save lives, pursue vaccines, advance health protocols. Our critical microbiology laboratory continues to test, research, measure, report, develop mitigation strategies, and work with all public health agencies across Canada. Our hospitals, in many cases, are at capacity, but these are also opportunities. All levels of government are cooperating, challenged by the right thing to do: lockdown, no lockdown, partial lockdown, border closures, border control, interprovincial restrictions. Budgets are strained, and again, as we heard, there has been government level of compensation for students, for the unemployed, for seniors, for businesses, and assurance of the right and timely medical supplies and equipment. These are also opportunities. We have heard the details of the results of working groups from co-chairs, so I'm not going through the reports. You've heard some of the items above, but there was no lack of identified opportunities. There was no lack of enthusiasm. There was no lack of potential partners. They were very specifically identified in terms of needs and offers for both Canada and Kazakhstan. Again, opportunities. How many times did we hear the words technology transfer, skills upgrades, training, competency enhancement in sciences and engineering? Every one of these functions cuts across almost every subsector that we were dealing with. These are opportunities. The list of collaborative possibilities, I cannot list 100. I will just go through a few. Affordable housing, energy efficient builds, municipal infrastructure, decarbonization of the transport sector, transition to the green economy, cities and transit, aviation clusters, an academy of civil aviation, cybersecurity and cyber resilience in aviation, space weather monitoring and forecasting, earth sensing satellites, cooperation on the assembly and test complex of spacecraft, LNG, the liquid natural gas, implementation, renewable energy, clean tech. We have like over 5,000 companies involved, power plant upgrades. Alternative and renewable energy sectors are growing and are of significant opportunity. Kazakhstan's existing mining and exploration projects, proven reserves, a complete, unless I missed a chemical, a complete periodic table. And back to technology transfer, wood-based building, aerospace, transit, mining, agriculture, healthcare, ag tech projects, which contribute to efficient production monitoring and marketing. These were put on the table. Livestock and feedlot management technologies, this was put on the table. Education. In addition to sciences and engineering, we also heard about Eurasian studies, proposals for international campuses in Kazakhstan, certification of teachers and academies offshore, innovation centers, professional knowledge exchanges, mobility of students and educators. This is all about the internationalization of education. Healthcare and construction came together in new builds for hospitals. 4 were identified for Canada. Collaboration on medical research and exchanges, investment in students, and I'll mention only 2, Kazakhstan's Bolashak Scholarship for students and Canada's Study in Canada program. And this is in addition to private sector and also our NGO support. These are critical industry and private sector players that were at the table for the last 2 weeks. They knew it was a time of change, and they knew it was also an opportunity for innovative change. In some cases, we were speaking to people and companies whom we had known for 30 years or more. One case, it was 50. For many, we were meeting for the first time. Again, these presented us with opportunities for partnerships. We thank the ambassadors and the ministers who had the vision to push and support this initiative, our CERBA chairman and his team, and the many, many expert presentations from companies, universities, governments, NGOs, who took the time to explore what could be possible, and it worked, as everyone has said today. The bilateral relationship between Canada and Kazakhstan is not new. It has gone through several growth periods, as Ambassador Brousseau has mentioned, over the last 3 decades. A whole new generation of young adults has grown up during those 28 years. And we have discovered new partnerships and now new sectors and subsectors for potential opportunity. Now what is needed, and I like the fact that Mirzagaliyev, Tsvetaeva, the poet, once said that people are using the word roadmap, Dorozhnaya karta. And now what is needed is that roadmap, that Dorozhnaya karta. And we are thankful for the many passionate, enthusiastic, and welcoming messages from Kazakhstan. So what are some of the things that we need? Conditions and best practices to support trade and investment. As always, we need reliable partners, more B2B meetings, exchanges, and seminars, policy and legislation which supports new directions, new sectors, including foreign investment. Subsoil codes continue to be streamlined, facilitating our juniors entering the market. Regulatory frameworks which support new and existing business. Financing from private and public sectors. EDC is back, as mentioned yesterday, and the IFIs are there and present. RFPs, the request for proposals, a competitive bidding process in addition to identifying the projects, the one-stop shop that Kazakh Invest talked about, budgets for training and skills enhancement, regular meetings and joint work. This is not going to be easy, but over the next weeks, co-chairs of the working groups will be speaking and meeting to determine how best to proceed in order to advance on these current partnerships and new partnerships. Благодарю. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Margaret. Ambassador Skok,
Pensioner Skok.
Pensioner Skok. Thank you very much. Of course, we are also right in asking you to do the summary of discussion in the working group. I think that will be also, there will be more detailed reports provided, of course, in due course. But I think our concern, of course, as always, is now, of course, in terms of, in the new circumstances, how we will do the follow-up. And I think the idea of a roadmap is very important. This is, we're in advance on our time. But I think it, and I don't see a lot of questions coming in except from very questions that can be answered separately that would take a lot of time to address in terms of, the issues dealing with education and immigration and so on and so forth. So we will address these questions separately. but I think it would be appropriate to ask our co-chairs, Mr. Gilles and Mr. Pirmatov, to speak right now. And then, of course, if there is time at the end, we might take in some questions. So I would now like to introduce the chairman of the KCBC on the Canadian side, Mr. Timothy Gilles, President and CEO of Cameco Corporation, but also the Honorary Consul of Kazakhstan for Saskatchewan. So Mr. Gilles has been working with Kazakhstan for many years, and it's a pleasure for me to introduce him today. Thank you very much.
Well, merci beaucoup, Gilles. Bonjour tout le monde. Hard to follow the very eloquent Margaret Scott, I have to say that, but I will do my very best. And let me just say, as I look at the screen, how great it is to see so many old friends from Canada and Kazakhstan who we haven't seen for some time now. And I have to say, I miss you. And I look forward to the day that we can get back together in person once again. Excellencies, Ambassadors Brousseau and Kamaldinov, honorable ministers who are on the call today, senior government officials, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and especially greetings to my co-chair and friend Gilles Pirmatov, who I can see on the screen as well. Let me just start by saying just how delighted I am to be with you today, whether it's morning for you in Canada or evening, getting later on in the evening in Kazakhstan. I just want to sincerely thank each and every one of you for joining us today for this fourth meeting of the Kazakhstan-Canada Business Council. I hope that you and your families are doing well, and I say that both physically and mentally because it's been a strain for everyone, and I don't think we're through it yet. So I urge you to look after yourselves, look after your families through this. If I had a choice, I'd rather be there with you, with all of you in Nur-Sultan, which I think we had hoped to do, but that didn't happen this year. Yet, as you've heard from others, it's not all negative. I think that we, or the KCBC, has made the best of a difficult situation. And if you want to look at the positive side of our meeting today, and I think others have noted this, that we were able to have many more participants than we probably would have had if we traveled to either country, and a lot more participation. So we can look at the bright side of using this technology. I want to thank the people who are responsible for putting this all together, and special thanks to CERBA and the members of the organizing committee for the great work you've done. I know you've been working pretty much around the clock to make sure these sessions were professional and valuable and seamless in their execution, and I can say you've succeeded at that, so thank you very much. I also want to thank and acknowledge the strong support of our two ambassadors, Akylbek Kamaldinov and Nicolas Brousseau, who have been so supportive of our efforts. I can tell you, Ambassador Kamaldinov was so passionate about making this go ahead and be a success that he came to Saskatoon twice to see me, to make sure we were fully on board and that the sessions would go ahead. So thank you for that. And at the same time, we were being encouraged, I would say, by Nicolas Brousseau in Nur-Sultan from Kazakhstan. So thanks to both of you. Without you, this wouldn't have happened. Yesterday, I was very impressed with the reports from the working group co-chairs. I think it might have been Gilles, someone who summed it up by stating that there are just endless possibilities for cooperation between our two countries. And I think I can clearly say that we've made great progress in the past few weeks at this meeting, but over the past few years. I think the working groups were well attended, very well attended, and very dynamic and innovative in the subject matter that was covered. As you heard from Margaret just a minute ago, we had strong participation from senior officials at both the Kazakh and Canadian levels, business leaders, scholars, and others. So we're very grateful for that. So that's all encouraging stuff. And when I think back to the KCBC, our first meeting some 4 or 5 years ago, I think the progress we've made is really remarkable. The working groups and the relationships that have been established between our people and our countries and our companies over the last few years has been quite remarkable. So thank you everyone who has participated and continues to participate in our KCBC efforts. You know, as Jill mentioned, in my day job, I'm president, CEO of Cameco Corporation, headquartered here in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I would say snowy Saskatoon, Saskatchewan today. Cameco, leading provider like Kazatomprom, our partner of uranium fuel for nuclear reactors around the world, providing utilities that want clean energy going forward. We need to electrify the world, and nuclear power is going to play a role, and Kazatomprom and Cameco are working together to really help that out. Kazakhstan for me is not just a commercial endeavor. I really have a personal interest in Kazakhstan and the people of Kazakhstan. My relationship goes back over 25 years in Kazakhstan. I was over in the early 90s to meet with government officials and talk about mining and talk about how we could work together as countries and companies to develop, in this case, Kazakhstan's prolific uranium mines. And I'm grateful to say I've made a lot of friends along the way in this endeavor, and I think we've come a long way since then. We've invested, Cameco's invested over the last 20 years over $500 million at Inkai, and we've also put efforts into our corporate social responsibility obligations in Kazakhstan. You heard a little bit about them along the way, and so we're very proud of that. The other thing we're very proud of is that Cameco is the only Canadian company to be a member of the Foreign Investors Council, chaired by President Tokayev, a position we've had for over 10 years now. And you know, the Foreign Investors Council, the responsibility and the goal is to promote dialogue between foreign investors and the government of Kazakhstan and companies in Kazakhstan to just further promote the investment climate in Kazakhstan. And so just last week, I had the pleasure of participating in the 33rd plenary session of the Foreign Investors Council, chaired by President Tokayev. And he spoke about the work underway in Kazakhstan really to strengthen the country's presence in the global economy. Under President Tokayev's leadership, the country is looking to continue leading the Eurasia region, as it does now, through technological, societal, and other advancements. He talked about priorities like digitization, artificial intelligence, oil and gas, natural resources, agriculture, healthcare, transportation. If those sound familiar, those are all of the things we've been talking about at the KCBC over the last number of years. So we're right on track. And of course, these relationships are super important to the development of both sides of the Canadian and Kazakh economy. So, you know, I'll wrap up. Over the years, we've seen the bond between Kazakhstan and Canada strengthen in many areas. And I give a lot of credit to the two ambassadors who work together so well, Ambassador Brousseau and Ambassador Kamaldinov. You know, this KCBC that we formed in 2016, we didn't really know what we were getting into and how it would turn out. But I think it's built a stronger relationship between our two countries. I think the opportunities for us are, as we say, limitless going forward. So today, I just encourage everyone to keep working together, keep talking, keep building friendships, and keep building for the future. And you know what? We are better together, as we say. And so I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for joining the fourth session of the KCBC virtually. Be safe, be healthy, and may 2021 bring to the whole world a happy new year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gilles, for your inspiring remarks. As always, it's been a delightful thing to work also with you and your colleagues on preparing this event. Now, our next speaker is the co-chair from the Kazakh side of KCBC, Mr. Galimjan Pirmatov, Chairman and CEO of Kazatomprom. So, Mr. Pirmatov, over to you. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Rahmet. Excellencies, honorable ministers, friends and colleagues, it's a great pleasure to be here today with you. I'd like to start by thanking our ambassadors, Ambassador Kamaldinov and Ambassador Brousseau, their team, for all their effort to making sure that this is a successful event. Special thanks to CERBA and the team. Without your support and your hard work, this event wouldn't have been success as it is. I really want to thank all the speakers on both sides and thank our honorable ministers, Minister Mirzagaliyev and Minister Omarov, for taking the time from their busy schedules this late in Nur-Sultan to personally participate. This really shows commitment on both sides to continue to improve our trade and investment relationship. At least on Kazakh side, I can tell you for sure that leadership of Kazakhstan fully understands the importance of improving trade and investment relationship with our partners across the world. And Canada is a very important partner for us. And we do hope that we will continue to deepen our relationship. We do understand that this is a competitive world, and we understand that to bring more investment, we need to continue to compete with all the other countries that are trying to do the same. So please, let's continue to strengthen our friendship. I do believe we have everything we need to continue to improve our relationship between two countries. As you've seen from presentation, Kazakh government is committed to support every investor, every investment into Kazakhstan from Canada. For Kazatomprom and personally myself, it's a great privilege to co-chair this business council together with our good partner Kamiko and my friend Tim. Our joint venture Inkai is literally the brand name for relationships between our two countries. It's a crown jewel in our portfolio, and we will continue to work together with our friends at Kamiko to expand on our partnership. So please use us as a resource with the question or support or sharing our experience, how we've gotten this far. I really want to wish all of you good health. Please be safe, look after yourself and your loved ones, and friends in Canada, please have a good day and then a great weekend. And friends in Kazakhstan, good night, and let's continue to push. As I say, we have everything we need. I really want to see increased investment and increased relationship in trade and investment between two our countries. We'll continue to show our commitment and support this business council. Yes, we've come a long way, but I do think there's a huge potential between two of our countries to continue to improve our relationship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pirmatov. Well, we have been so disciplined that we have a few extra minutes to spare on our schedule today. So the first person I will turn to for a comment is Taskyn, who wants to say a few words about CERBA.
Yes, thank you, Gilles. Just wanted to take this opportunity and to thank my colleagues, all CERBA regional directors, for helping, and the KCBC org committee to helping with all these events. We've been working hard for last 2 months, and these 2 weeks just flew like one day with all serious work, and many people, many companies, industries, and government involved. So please, if you have any questions, concerns about the KCBC activities, you can approach our directors, regional directors who are responsible for each working group. And you're welcome to join our association. So we're more than 140 companies members all over the Canada and Eurasia. So we serve our members and we work to promote trade and business relationship between Canada and Kazakhstan. So this is what I wanted to add.
Much, Taskyn. I think we've had very good co-chairs of working groups and so on and so forth. So if anyone wants to say a few words, please, we have a few minutes for that. Or maybe Nicolas who's reappeared on the screen, wants to say a few words.
Gilles, I'm always happy to speak you know, but just a big thank you again to everybody, and particularly to the co-chair. It's always a pleasure to see you, Mr. Gitzel and Mr. Permatov. I think it was a very interesting discussion, and now we have a lot of work to do, Akylbek. So we are going to work closely together as usual, and continue to foster trade days of leads of interesting things cooking. So I'm very optimistic. So thank you to CERBA, thank you Gilles, thank you Taskyn, Norm for the KCBC this year, and hopefully the next KCBC will be in person.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. Ambassador Brousseau. Excellency, Ambassador Kamaldinov, do you want to say a few words? Would it be inappropriate for you to do the closing message of this KCBC?
Thank you for this great opportunity. I'm talking about economic cooperation, nothing more. I will explain why. Because I consider our economic cooperation as a main gate to get our comprehensive cooperation. Through first of all, economic cooperation, and the next step, other spheres, and humanitarian cooperation, cooperation in education and healthcare and others. That's why I always talking about only economic cooperation. It's a gate. It's a big gate and a big chance to get comprehensive cooperation between our friendly countries.